welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing okay today and that you are ready for some more The House in Fata Morgana. But a bit of story time first. It's hard being a new streamer. Am I low? Is it better? It's very hard to be a new streamer and YouTuber, and that was one example of it. It's very hard to know what settings to use and such. But also there are so many pitfalls that you can fall into, and the music is loud. Yeah, alright. Let's see. Turning it down a bit. Is it better like that? But yeah, as I said, many pitfalls, and I seem to have found myself fall into one recently. Because I have received some copyright claims, not strikes, thankfully, so I don't think I have to do anything about it right now. Hang on. Yeah, okay, so it's better now, good. So I don't think I have to do anything about it right now, since I'm not monetized or anything. We'll see what happens when or if that happens. But it's a funny story because I got my music from upbeat.com, and there wasn't really any information about how it all would work, more than, oh, if you download this and you give credit in the description, then you shall be fine. So I did exactly that, and I have had the credits in my description all the time, but still got these claims. So today I went to Upbeat's webpage just to see if I had missed anything or if there was any information that I didn't know about, and I got to the help page for copyright claims, and there I found out that apparently the license was only for one video, and that's it. Then you have to download the song all over again and get a new license, unless you pay for it. And it's a monthly fee, not just for the song. If it was just for the song, I could have paid, but like, I don't want to pay monthly to use 2 songs. That feels very unnecessary. So yeah, we have new music now from the YouTube library. Hopefully that will work fine. As far as I know, I am free to use it without crediting anyone. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it will go better this time. But yeah, we're gonna play some House in Fata Morgana today. And yesterday we finished the second door. And today we are moving towards the third door, which is one of my favorites. I really like the story. And I also like the characters. One of the characters from door 3 is not only one of my favorite Fata Morgana characters, but one of my favorite characters of all time, just because he is so human, and I love him for it. I'm not saying anything more about that. I want you to experience it for yourself. So yeah, let's just get into the game. And we left off right after we came out of the second door. The door to the cellar swung shut. You had fallen to the floor at some point, unable to bear the stench of blood. The maid stood behind you, her arms wrapped around your shoulders. The maid's voice was chilling and gentle. That was quite horrific, wasn't it? Are you feeling unwell, master? Oh my, you're shaking, master. Fear not, I assure you, the beast will not come through that door. I am here for you, and I will continue to hold you for as long as you need to settle your nerves. Oh dear, you feel like you might freeze in my arms. Am I really that cold? I cannot tell my own temperature. You wish to know what happened to Bestie after that? I could open the door once more and show you. But I have no intention of knowingly tossing you back into that den of horrors. He lost the rest of his humanity, becoming wholly beast. You don't trust her? Well, the story will tell, if we can or not. But to tell you a little bit more of the tale, it is my understanding that an entire village was ravaged shortly thereafter. He was a bewitchingly talented swordsman. Not a single person living in that village could stand up to him. In the woman's memories he saw, he was a gentleman, yes. But even the mildest of men can change. Though personally, I believe that without an element of monstrousness buried somewhere within, a man cannot become a beast, regardless of what may push him in that direction. Do you follow? Now tell me, master, have you remembered anything? Oh dear, I was afraid of that. I am a remarkably patient maid. I shall accompany you for as long as you require. So do please find your memories. Now, let us head to the next door. The mansion is quite large, so hold on to my hand. We will not want to get separated. You and the maid travel down the dimly lit hall, passing by the mirror once again. The light from the candle in the maid's hand was the only thing that reflected in it. The maid herself did not appear. However, just as you were about to avert your eyes, you thought you caught a glimpse of white hair. You heard a voice echo in the darkness. And when you turned to face the mirror again, the glass was the color of obsidian, as if it had been painted over. The voice seemed to be coming from beyond the mirror. The maid did not turn back, evidently having not heard anything. We are definitely extending our hand here. You extended your hand toward the darkness overrunning the mirror. The second your hand brushed against the surface, the tips of your fingers sunk into it. And the next thing you realized, your whole world was sinking into darkness. You could hear a voice. I am the witch. It's getting foggy. Looks like it might rain. Maybe we should take a little break. You want to keep going? Oh, alright then. This deep in the forest? Thank you, very much. You must be tired after such a long journey. This is the mansion I am looking for, yes? You could have said something. Oh well. I should get going, I guess. Does no one live here? But if that's the case, then why was I... Such a big door. Please open. It's not locked, I guess. I wonder if the window's open. Darn, not a hint of light. Hello? Is anyone there? Please don't tell me it's actually abandoned. I suppose I can't know without looking around a bit more. What do we have here? Drapes? I see a little light beyond. It's so pretty. It looks like an angel. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. Oh my god, I love this song. It's so... This is one of my absolute favorite songs in this game. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but I did announce myself. Is this your mansion? It is. Thank goodness. I was afraid it was deserted. I suspect you would have preferred it if the house were abandoned. Oh, not at all. I would be scared to death staying in this dark mansion all by myself. I'm sorry. No ill will intended. But I do think it could do with some more light. That way, you could see where you were walking. And I'm sure this room would look splendid illuminated. Not necessary. I make do perfectly well as things are. How can you see when it's so dark? I have an abundance of candles and oil for lamps. I am not in want of means of creating light. It is not your place to criticize my lifestyle. If you need light, you are free to leave. If you are in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. There's a village not far from here. Trade it for food, then make your way to a larger town. I am no longer able to freely return to the city. I cannot go back there. Please, don't chase me out. I see. And do you ask this of me aware of how people refer to this mansion? They say that a witch lives here. Not merely a witch. A cursed witch. If you remain here, you too shall likely suffer your own destruction. You worried for my well-being? Witch or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first, I wonder? Regret or the curse? You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real. Very much so. It is not a legend, nor a fairy tale. The witch's name was Morgana. It's me. Guys, I'm getting goosebumps from this. Oh my god. I have read it before, but still, it's so good. Oh my god. What was that? Giselle? Oh my. What is the matter, master? Why are you standing in place? There's nothing there. The maid did not seem to have seen anything. You made to ask her about the scene you had just witnessed. Oh my. Master, you look like you've just seen a ghost. What is the matter? How about a little rest before we move on? You do not wish to remain here? Yeah, her face. I had completely forgotten about that. That is so creepy. Still not fond of mirrors? Yes, yes. Now let us be off. I too dearly wish for you to return to your old self as soon as possible, master. If your desire is to push onward, then I could hardly be happier. Now, follow me. You follow the maid's lead, returning to the living room. From there, you climbed a set of stairs, your hands sliding through the dust that had settled on the ebony railing. When you stepped out of the sight of the mirror, the maid returned to normal. You had been on the verge of remembering something. But you were no longer in a position to be concerned about such things. Yeah, it's a Japanese story from the beginning. For the chill in the air within the mansion seemed to have intensified. Standing at one end of a long corridor, you asked the maid, "When was the mansion built?" "I would imagine you know more about that than me, master." "Yes, I know. You have not yet regained your memories. I was simply teasing you. I have been a servant of this house for many, many years, but the truth is, I do not know everything about it. All I know is that the mansion is cursed, and that it has brought misfortune upon its residents, since times of old. I can make a conjecture as to when it began, but I believe you should figure it out for yourself, master. There is no guarantee my perspective is the correct one. Now, let us proceed." You and the maid traveled down the dimly lit corridor. While the layout of the house was the same as in the eras of the flaxen-haired boy and the beast, the bleak, colorless gloom felt incredibly dreary. I'm not super familiar with the Uzumaki, but no, it's not that kind of screwed. I mean, the second door is kind of screwed up, I guess. But no, not like that. It's still a very dark story, but I don't think it's... From what I know, I don't think it's similar to that. But as I said, I'm no expert on that because I'm not incredibly familiar with him either, so yeah. On the wall partway down the hall hung a painting. The painting, which depicted a beautiful landscape, was oddly entrancing, but you did not have the time to appreciate the artwork. Your hand in the maid's, you passed by the painting. Before long, a door came into sight at the end of the hall. This door is what I would like to show you next, master. Listen closely. Do you hear the voices? Lively but rough, energetic but coarse. What lies beyond this door is neither a period of elegance and abundance like the first, nor one of ruin and savagery like the second. Technology and the culture had become quite developed, and cameras and photography had been invented, my god. It was a time of great progress and many breakthroughs. And for that reason, those who lived in it were constantly seeking to try new things. The tale I am about to tell you is one of a man who wagered everything on his ambitions. I hope that what you see, master, will stir something in your heart. Now, through the door we go. Please, do not let go of my hand. The maid pushed open the door. Colorful balls bounced around atop a long, dark green table. One man, dressed in black and standing by the billiards table, turned toward the door. The room was inundated with eye-watering cigar smoke, causing you to squeeze your eyes shut. Also, this song is my second favorite of the game. It's awesome. That era was a rat race of innovation and development. The smoke was so thick that you could hardly see more than a few feet ahead of you. I could compare it to a dense morning fog, but that might give the impression of beauty, and of that there was little to be found in this haze. Do you see the silhouettes of several men in the smoky room? The one in the middle, the one looking in your direction, master, was the present master of the house. His name was Jacopo, and though he dressed in such fine attire, I sincerely doubt he understood how splendid furnishing left in the mansion truly were. I am a faithful servant of this house, and I will not, for the life of me, dare speak ill of my master. However, this is a time long past. I imagine God would be so kind as to turn a blind eye to a little bit of honesty. I was not terribly fond of my master back then. He had wavy hair the color of over-dried tea leaves, a piercing gaze, and an arrogant smile, and he wore a hat that made him look rather haughty. He put his trust only in money, renown, and rank. He loved only iron and steel that had revolutionized so many industries. He had not the slightest bit of love or care for other people. At the very least, that is what I believed at the time. Take a look around the room, master. Jacopo had remodeled it into a recreation area. A billiards table sat in the center of the room, and the downward-facing lights hanging from the ceiling were special made. The light shone upon a dark green stand like a stage, cigars and bourbon-like glass cases installed in place of bookshelves. Yeah, he sounds like a lovely man. Let me just say, this is one of my absolute favorite characters, and no, he is definitely not lovely. He's very complicated, though, I will give you that. He's complex, and that's the reason I like him, but I would definitely not like to know him in real life. I would hate him. The cases were always fully stocked, the contents available to partake of readily. At that particular moment, as he had many times before, Jacopo had invited several friends and acquaintances, and they were entertaining themselves. His wealthy, high-ranking acquaintances had a variety of hair colors, from polished brass to the brown of a baby robin to the color of sunburnt wheat. There was also much greater variation in skin tone compared to the visitors and residents of previous areas. But that was hardly any surprise, for the mansion sat upon land inhabited largely by immigrants, the New World. What's the matter? What are you looking at? Nothing. I just thought I heard someone say my name. Ain't no one there, unless you're seeing a ghost. I don't believe in such nonsense. It's an old house with a long history. Wouldn't be surprised if it had a ghost or two. But if the place gonna be haunted, I'd take a princess over a bloody broad any day. A princess, eh? And when she showed up, you'd have your way with this ghost lady, am I right? Color me impressed, son. You jump her bones and she don't even got any to jump. Come on now, that's hardly fair. Not much you can even do with a ghost. My God, are you men or children? This is my house, and I would rather you didn't talk about it like that. Just the blatherings of a couple of drunks. Pretend you didn't hear nothing. For the love of God. In any event, whatever happened to that printer you invested in? I haven't heard their name come up in some time. Can we please avoid that topic? It's been quite a headache for me. I thought I'd pay off, but it always sounded sketchy to me. I recommend you pull out, unless you want to find yourself in nothing left but a nice fat pile of debt. You could have mentioned that beforehand. This is killing me. The men's deep voices resonated in the cloudy room. As they imbibed alcohol and puffed on their cigars, they conversed mostly about business and money. Jacopo and the rest of the men were a breed known as investors. You might also call them tacticians. They survived on information attained before anyone else, by making swift decisions and having foresight. Though instead of flesh and bone, their soldiers were made of ink and paper. To an outsider, this meeting might appear to be a congregation of friends, but in reality, they were observing one another, gathering information, and anything else they could use to get ahead. At times, money and information were exchanged directly, and when they were no longer of financial value to one another, the relationship would pop like a bubble and dissipate into nothing. But you know, Jacopo, you can't be sure this railroad you're so passionate about is gonna bear fruit neither. You don't even know if it will get finished. And even if they do connect the tracks, would it really be in any shape for people to ride? It's a pipe dream, this transcontinental railroad of yours. Jacopo went silent, but I am certain this is what was going through his head. You're a bunch of damned imbeciles if you can't see that the entire country put their weight behind this endeavor. This is why you have such trouble making even a few thousand. At the time, a great railway was being built across the breadth of the continent. Construction was spearheaded by two large rail companies, in competition for both prestige and a bigger share of this massive national enterprise. The Union Pacific Railroad Company started building from the east, and the Central Pacific Railroad Company from the west. But government bonds alone were not enough to finance this massive undertaking. By the way, there have been some less than pleasant reports about workers dying on the job for the company you chose, Central Pacific. Ah, you mean how they're using explosives to blast through the mountains? Making quite a bang they are. But if this gets to be much bigger of a fix, they're not going to be able to continue construction. You should at least put your money in the more sure bet of the two, the Union Pacific. It'll cost you to hire replacement workers, and if they keep kicking the bucket, you're going to have trouble finding more. My goodness. And here I thought you all had spines. You think we're gonna run out of workers just because a few ate it? Ha! There's so many we don't even know what to do with them all. There's not a chance that they will dry up. And if, by some chance, it does, all we have to do is buy up a ship full of blacks or yellows. You won't get anywhere if you spend your time worrying about a few measly laborers. This is an endeavor backed by the entire nation. Their deaths are honorable, in service of the country. The biggest loss is not of people's lives, but of time. The longer a project takes, the more money it costs, and the less profit we make. What we seek is rapid progress, even if the methods to obtain it are messy or deadly. The other man in the room chuckled uncomfortably at Jacopo's distasteful choice of words. Do you agree with his way of thinking, Master? Perhaps it does have a point, in that great sacrifice is necessary to accomplish great things. And it is true that tragedy often lies in the shadows of the splendor of times long past. Furthermore, the way people see the world changes with the times, so I hesitate to criticize him too severely. Now, as I am sure you have already picked up on, he was an investor who had put money into a railroad company. He also possessed several crude oil refineries, riding on the world's second wave of industrial development. The mansion too bustled with life, in a way it never had before. Dozens of maids, including me, gardeners, chefs, sculptors, artists. At times, we even had writers coming in and out of the house. There was rarely a moment of silence. However, I was not terribly fond of the hustle and bustle, personally. But please, do not get me wrong. I am hardly opposed to the mansion being cheerful. It was just... how should I put it? The splendor of the time seemed... superficial, heartless. It was as though everyone was being rushed along by some unknown invisible force. Part of it was, I expect, caused by the growing divide between those standing at the top and sitting at the bottom. Or perhaps, the mansion was simply taking after its master. There is no time to waste. Everything is resting upon the success of this project. Whatever it takes, I will ensure it happens. I need more money and more power. Suddenly, a restrained knock on the door stopped his train of thought. From beyond the door came a woman's voice, gentle as a soft spring breeze. Pardon me, I have made some tea. May I offer anyone a cup? When the door opened, in it stood a beautiful woman with pure white hair. It was indeed her. Are you surprised? Or did you anticipate her appearance? Though she was not the same age and dressed differently, the white-haired girl, whom you saw fall into the hands of misfortune in the era of roses and the era of the beast, was also present in this era of innovation. Furthermore, she was Jacopo's wife. tea? I don't recall asking for that. When would you ask to make it? I wasn't, but I had his leaves with the most wonderful aroma, and I thought you might enjoy. Shut your trap and know your place. What do you think we have all these maids for? Hey now, no need to treat your lady like that. She was just trying to be courteous. These are my personal affairs. Please keep your comments to yourself. His friends were unsure how to react, but ultimately nobody stepped up to stop Jacopo. They were merely shrugged, tossing glancing at one another. Jacopo stomped over to the white-haired girl. He then grabbed her by the arm and dragged her from the den. What the hell do you think you're doing? I've told you time and again to stay away from that room unless absolutely necessary. I'm sorry, but I made tea and... Shut up about the tea already! You think we're having tea parties in there like a bunch of prissy nobles? I'm sorry. If you really feel so bad, don't go in there in the first place. Get the hell back to your room. I meant no harm. It's just, I'm your wife. I thought it would be nice if I could do something. Like I've told you, that's not your job. Don't show yourself in front of other men. I have nothing else to say to you. Got it? Now scram. Sakes alive, first them, now you. It's driving me up the wall. What is it? I told you to get out of here. Right, but, What? When will you spend time with me next? It has been some time since we last went out together. But we don't even have to go out. Just having dinner together would... How many times are you gonna make me repeat myself, you worthless tramp? Are those ears only for show? Go back to your goddamn room! My apologies. Looking utterly downtrodden, the white-haired girl made her departure. Such a piteous sight she was. As he watched her go, Jacopo merely snorted. Just thinking about the way he behaved then angers me. I have little fondness for men who do not treat their spouses with respect. So as you can see, the white-haired girl was in hardly a joyous situation. She was devoted to Jacopo and tried to do whatever she could for him, but he not only brushed her aside, he did so in an insulting, deliberately hurtful manner. They were far from picturesque partners. Do you wonder then, Master, why she married him? The answer to that question will come to light in time. For now, let us follow her. I hope you don't think bad of me for having Jacopo as one of my favorite characters. That introduction is, yeah, like I said, I do not want to know him in real life, and if I did know someone like that, I would absolutely hate him. But I just think as a character that he is really, really interesting. But you will see why further in the story. Looking down dejectedly at the undrunken tea, the white-haired girl walked alone down the corridor. Though its calming scent filled the air, there was nobody around to have their heart warmed by it, nor was there anyone to alleviate her loneliness. Despite being the master's wife, the maids who crossed her path in the halls said nary a word to her. As a matter of fact, "Oh dear, I beg your pardon, madam." It's fine." One even bumped into her, stifling a laugh as he trotted off. In all likelihood, she had done it intentionally. The poor white-haired girl, who had fallen to the floor, stared helplessly at the broken cups. The tea she had made for her husband was forming a stain in the carpet. The maid's behavior toward the mistress of the house was absolutely unacceptable. Nonetheless, it was commonplace, all because of the way Jacopo treated her. The more the man of the house acted cruel to her, the less weight her position as his wife held to the servants. Day in and day out, the maids worked busily, offered little opportunity for leisure, so they would naturally have accumulated quite a bit of stress. How did they become maids? Who knows? Probably by Jacopo, I guess. And she became the target for them to let off this steam. Not directly, but through a more subdued kind of harassment from the shadows. She must have felt quite miserable. I imagine she would have been better off as one of the maids. On the surface, and in front of the others, they showed respect for her as Jacopo's bride, but behind closed doors, they acted very much the opposite. The disparity between the treatment she received around others, the treatment she was supposed to receive at all times, and the way she was actually treated made the abuse that much worse. And furthermore, as you have seen through the other doors master, she was a very reserved young woman. She could neither raise her voice in reprimand, nor raise her hand in retaliation. I have to get this cleaned up. She extended her spindly fingers toward the shards of shattered porcelain. Ah! But even a broken cup seemed to have no concern to spare for her. Its shattered edge cut her fingertip when she made to pick it up. A trickle of warm red blood ran across her unearthly white skin. As painful as the sight as it was, it had a sort of taboo beauty to it. The blood spilling from her fingers showed no signs of slowing down. She clenched her hand into a fist, let out a sigh, and went back to collecting the shards of porcelain. But when she did... Madam! Madam! What's the matter? Oh, madam, you're bleeding! While all the other maids ignored her, one came running over, shouting, to the white-haired girl's side. We need to get it cleaned and bandaged up. Oh, you don't need to pick that up. That's not your job, madam. It's all right, Maria. There's not much to pick up. It is not at all right. And the rest of you, why are you just standing there? Your boss's wife is on her hands and knees, and you're not even lifting a finger to help her. You disgust me. Maria, it's fine, really. Oh, madam. If you weren't so timid, this wouldn't happen. You're allowed to yell at them, you know. It's alright, really. It's my fault. Anyway, we should get that finger taken care of. Let's get you back to your room, okay? Ah, but the broken cups and the spill. As I said, that's the maid's work. Now, come on, let's go. Okay. And the rest of you, get this mess cleaned up. She roared like the wind in a thunderstorm. The other maids stood there dumbfounded, watching as she and the white-haired girl disappeared down the hall. They were soon frowning and grumbling to one another. She thinks she can act all high and mighty just because the master is fond of her. The woman's name was Maria. She was one of the maids. And she was the one person in the mansion the white-haired girl could think of as an ally. Though her husband paid her no mind, and the maids made her life miserable, just one person, Maria, treated her with respect and kindness. And I am sure you can readily imagine just how much of a lifesaver that was for her. I too found myself somewhat relieved that Maria was there for her. Being a servant of this house, I was also one of the maids working there at the time. However, I was unable to involve myself to any great degree in her fate. This meant that there was little I could do to assist her, even in times of pain and unpleasantness. The best I could do was pray that Maria would continue to lend the white-haired girl her hand. And that does it! Thank you, Maria. You're always such a big help. Oh no need to thank me. I just did what any good maid should do. No one else in the room, you know. Oh, right. Then I can drop the act? Man, I just can't get used to talking all stuffy. I'm out there doing my best, but the head maid still spouting stuff like, your manner of speaking is improper for a servant. Every single time we meet. Yeesh, come on, just show it, would ya? You're a damn creep. Now, you mustn't speak ill of her like that. Sorry, slip of the tongue. She just kind of gives me the willies, you know? Speaking of, you dropped the stuffy talk too, madam. Kinda awkward if only one of us is acting casual, you know? This is normal for me. If I attempted to talk like you, I would freeze up out of nervousness. This is my casual. Fair enough. Guess that's what happens when you race well. I like it though. Has a very regal feel about it. I don't think my upbringing is the only factor. Ah, but you know, upbringing is important. Worth a whole lot more than money, I'd say. I suppose. Thank you, Maria. You're always so compassionate. You betcha. You don't call me the Virgin Mary for nothing. I practically bleed compassion. You know, that might be true. You very well could be the reincarnation of the Mother of God. No. You were supposed to laugh at that. It's just embarrassing if you take it seriously. Alone in the white-haired girl's room, Maria was acting much more friendly and relaxed as they conversed, as opposed to her no-nonsense attitude in the hallway. The two women were, as you can see, quite close. They had crossed over the wall separating master from servant and built a bond of friendship. And at some point, they had begun to speak frankly with one another when no one else was around. Maria was the only person in the mansion around whom the white-haired girl felt comfortable being open. I imagine she very much enjoyed these moments of conversation. You wish to know who the head maid was? My. Are you sure you want to ask me that, master? Some questions are better left unasked, for your own good. I have to say, madam, you have the prettiest fingers. Mine are all rough and dry and nasty. You think so? Mine haven't the slightest bit of muscle. They're about as frail as dead branches. Oh, who need beefy mitts anyway? I still think healthy-looking hands like yours are far more attractive. What? What's to like about these things? Women all over the world dream of having hands like yours. Slender, feminine, and perfectly cared for. I don't know, just looking at them lights a fire in my loins. Makes me want to lick every last one of them. Actually, say, can I lick them? Can I run my tongue up and down all 10 of those sweet little digits? Come on, can I? What do you say? Stop that, Maria. Seriously. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, Maria. Ah, right. How did those tea leaves turn out, madam? The ones you imported? All the maids just adore it. They can't get enough of that aroma. I'd sure like to get a taste of it. If you end up with extra, you think you could spare a sip for me? That was what was in the cups I dropped. What? Really? Well, ain't that a crying shame? And Jacopo wouldn't have any of it? God, why does that man have such a stick up his ass? You went through all the trouble of making it for him and he was busy. It's not his fault. Busy? You mean playing billiards, drinking bourbon and puffing a damn cigar? It may look to us like they are just making small talk, but I'm certain their meeting has some importance to their business. It was imprudent of me to try to step into the men's world. That's just not right. I mean, you're his wife. Why shouldn't you be allowed into the room? It doesn't bother me. You don't have to pretend. Here's an idea. How would you like to have some of that tea now? We also have some orange marmalade, which you like so much. Add a scoop of that and a tray of cookies, and we have the perfect tea time. You're singing the siren song, madam. But you really should be doing that with him. He would not have tea. I suspect he doesn't like it. I don't want it to go to waste, so... Madam, I know it's none of my business, and I have no place at all saying this, but... It's not impossible for a woman to file a divorce these days. You don't have to sit down and take it, not one bit. You're pretty, well educated, and still young. There's hope even if you do leave him. There are plenty of other men out there. You aren't obligated to stick with that arrogant jerk. He's just very busy right now. There you go again. There was a time when he was kind. He wasn't like this when we first met. Back then, he was a little awkward, but a kind man. Him? A kind man? Yes, believe it or not. There was indeed a time. Say, Maria, would you mind giving me a little bit more of your time? I'll make us some tea, and we can talk. Alright. If you're telling me about when Jacopo was decent, I'm all ears. Indeed. As I am sure you are aware, our parents arranged our marriage. Before I emigrated to this country to be married, I lived in a misty island nation. Portraits of my ancestors hung in the house where I lived. I remember as a child wincing in fear at the sight of them staring down at me. My mother and father were constantly telling me to show them respect, as it was their hard work that kept our bloodline alive and well. However, they were fighting an uphill battle to do the same. It would have been clear to anyone reasonably perceptive that our house was coming tumbling down. Valuable furniture and paintings slowly disappeared, and eventually the portraits were gone too. As our house collapsed, so too did my parents' health deteriorate, robbing us of any source of income. And though I was educated, I lacked the skills necessary to obtain work. Just as we were about to run out of money and options, my parents received Jacopo's parents' marriage proposition. Both of our families stood to benefit from the arrangement. I had social status, and he had wealth. We each had what the other lacked. One needs more than money to make it in the world. Without at least a semi-reputable name attached to you, you're liable to get laughed out of most social gatherings. I first met Jacopo here, in this country. We didn't even know what the other looked like until our wedding day. To be quite honest, I was scared to death at first. I was so nervous. What kind of man would it be? Was I to be wed to some middle-aged stranger? We were not marrying because we had fallen in love like a normal couple. I knew I was in no position to be concerned with such things, but when I thought about the future, I shook with fear. But the man I saw through my veil at the wedding was remarkable. He was young, had strong masculine eyes, and at the same time, he too appeared nervous. He was shaking as much, no, even more than me. Seeing that, the priest gave an impish little smirk when he asked Jacopo if he vowed his eternal love to me. I counted myself among the happy, and I still do. For in that moment, I experienced true love. He wanted to hear about when he was kind to me. Well, after the wedding, we were given a week to ourselves. I suppose you could call it a honeymoon, though we didn't take a trip overseas, or even go very far at all. He looked at me with uncertainty and asked, "Where would you like to go?" I beg your pardon? That's what this week is for, right? I'll consider granting your request, so tell me where you want to go. This is all so sudden. Nothing? Well, this whole engagement was the spur of the moment. Normally we would have planned a trip in advance. But unfortunately, our purpose is served so long as we act the part. You must be disappointed that you have to plan your honeymoon as it's happening. No, What? Speak clearly. I don't like it when people don't speak their mind. Ah, I'm sorry, but I'm happy, even if this is a political marriage. Well, you're quite a positive thinker. Your parents say something to make you think that way? Well, either way, if you're so glad to be in this arrangement, then hurry up and decide on a destination. Though there is a limit to how far we can go. If you want to take a trip, I'll consider it. What? Is something funny? It just seemed comical to me that our honeymoon has begun and we're only now deciding where we want to go. Not in a bad way, though. I'm glad our parents didn't arrange everything for us. Perhaps you've heard, but I'm quite sensitive to sunlight and not in the best of health. So it would be rather trying for me to spend a full week out of the house. We couldn't go on a trip, but, if it's not too much trouble... Speak up. Could you show me around town? I'm new to this country and unfamiliar with its customs. And I'm rather afraid to go wandering about on my own. Show you around? Yes. Would that be possible? On a rare bit of time off, you ask me to show you around town. Is that really the most exciting idea you have? I'm sorry. If, there's somewhere you would like to go, I am fine with that. I will accompany you anywhere. As if I could drag someone who just professed to being sickly all over the country. My God, I lost all interest in a trip. Hello? What are you doing? Get ready, now! I beg your pardon? Didn't you want to go see the town? You will show me around? You're the one who asked. Not like you have any other options, so yeah, I'll show you around. Thank you. Don't just stand there, you dullard. Get a move on. One moment. Wait for me, please. He hurriedly climbed into the carriage he had called for, a look of frustrated displeasure on his face. And then, as if he had forgotten about me until that moment, he returned, grabbed me by the arm, and led me to the carriage. In retrospect, I realized he was not being very gentlemanly, but I was pleased that he was making any attempt to interact with me at all. As the carriage trotted down the streets, I saw so many new things. I had spent most of my time cooped up inside that home, so it was like stepping into an entirely new world. And add to that the rapid industrial advancement currently taking place. I saw men shouting back and forth as they smacked newspaper articles with the backs of their hands. I saw corner cafes crowded with cigar-smoking men on break from work. It was like the hustle and bustle of a festival. But every festival has its underside. I also saw overworked men, looking like they were on the verge of collapse, drinking water from a spigot on the side of the road. By way of contrast, I wore fine clothing and had a carriage at my disposal. I imagine every day was a struggle for them just to remain afloat. Had I not married the man I had, I too might have found myself on the streets in a similar situation. But it was not relief that spread from my breast at the sight of them, it was pangs of guilt. It felt to me like a life of opulence was wrong, sinful. It broke my heart to know that I was living so much better than them. Jacoba snorted disapprovingly at me, seemingly reading my mind, and then said, "The poor man who envies the rich, covets his wealth, and finds the ambition to make the same for himself, and the rich man who pities the poor, thinking it his duty to give them offerings of philanthropy. To me, the latter is the far more nefarious. Excessive charity will ruin a man, make him come to expect handouts. And then, there are those with the wrong idea of pity, who let themselves fall down the same place, mistakenly believing it would somehow make the poor feel better. What a joke. If you're going to do anything for them, you might as well encourage them to climb upward. Spur on economic growth and the flow of capital. Doesn't that sound like the better option?" I say nothing, simply smiling and giving an ambiguous nod. He had a point. My sympathy and guilt meant nothing to people actually experiencing hardship. If, feeling guilty of my own fortune, I acted upon that pity the way he had described, it would accomplish little more than self-satisfaction. He seemed to have seen straight through to my very core. This was a man who had built his own fortune through investment, which I imagined required him to be rather astute. But doesn't a world where everyone is constantly trying to climb higher and higher sound rather exhausting? I personally would prefer to be in a position where I could watch, if only from a distance, as others climbed. But obviously, I could not say as much to him. Sometime later, the carriage came to a stop in front of a shop. As I looked at the building perplexedly, he gestured to the door with his chin, signaling me for me to get out. Lost and confused, I stepped down from the carriage, and before me spread a showcase behind a large glass window. However, lined up in the case were not precious metals or expensive clothing, but machines. At first, I had no idea what kind of devices they were. Have you never had your photo taken before? No. I have had a portrait painted though. Are these machines for taking photographs? A portrait, eh? Why am I not surprised? I did not mean to boast. Go on, get in. Ah, please, wait. Wait for me. The owner came out to greet us with a wide smile as we entered the shop. Well, if this ain't the strangest thing I've seen all day. You bringing a lady, and a real looker at that. Where on earth did you catch this pretty little thing? She's my wife. Huh. Well, I beg your pardon. I'll be a monkey's uncle. Just goes to show, you never know where the cards may fall. You make it sound like me getting married is some kind of miracle. I always saw you as one of those who choose money over love, sir. Oh, pardon me. This isn't appropriate to say in front of your wife. Do you often come to this shop? On occasion. I need some things here from time to time. I see. There you go, smirking again. What's so funny? We're going to have our photo taken, yes? I'm so nervous and excited. I never had one before. And to have it taken side by side with you. Yay! Welcome, Tudor. What are you talking about? Pardon? Who said we were getting our pictures taken? And side by side, please. You're sending shivers down my spine. But this is a photography... I can't speak. Photography shop. Hey, shopkeep. The product I contacted you about. Is it ready? Oh, yep. Sit tight. I'll be right out. You take a seat. There's a chair over there. What? I'm going to show you something much more exciting than sitting still and waiting in front of a camera lens. Oh? Just do as I say. Okay. I sat down in front of a large mirror, which I presume was normally used to check your appearance before having your picture taken. Sitting before a mirror with someone else present was quite nerve-wracking. Out of embarrassment, I dropped my gaze to my knees. But when Jacob returned, I was entranced by the curious object in his hands. What is it? Do you know what persistence of vision is? The human eye does not perceive the world 100% accurately. This is especially true for objects in motion. It remembers images for a short time, so if you put a new image in the same place, your eye perceives it as in motion. Seeing for yourself will be faster than explaining it. You see the slits in the disc? Look through the bottom one and into the mirror. Okay. Good. Just like that. Bring your head in close. Here goes. Standing behind me, he slid his fingers across the top of the peculiar toy, causing it to spin gracefully. And then... Ah! So, what do you see? They're dancing! A man and a woman are dancing! Sounds like you're not having any trouble seeing it. Are they dancing well? Yes! Yes, they are! It's the most adorable thing! What? Adorable? That's funny. I asked to have it modeled after a ballroom dance. Yes. It's a very elegant dance. But, you see, they're small, like little dwarfs, which I thought was kind of cute. And it seems so close, going around and around without ever letting go of each other's hands. This is incredible. Why does it look like they're dancing? They were all lined up in a row a few moments ago. Goodness, I just explained that to you. It's playing a trick on your eyes. What you're seeing is lots of different pictures in a short period of time. To put it in words you might understand better, it's an illusion. Your eyes are being fooled into thinking the image is moving. An illusion? But they're dancing. They really are. And they look like they're having a wonderful time. Are you sure it's an illusion and not something else? To me, it does not seem to be. I cannot see it as anything but two tiny people dancing. That's how it works. Reach out your hand and try to grab them. You won't be able to. Ah, you're right. That's a shame. I didn't think you actually would. But it's the most precious thing. They look as though they're dancing atop my palm. I was mesmerized by the strange phenomenon. Pictures were moving after all. Still images had begun dancing before me. It was almost as if God had breathed life into them. He had called it an illusion, but I cannot grasp that. It was such an adorable, heartwarming sight. I imagined the two were off living in some other world, separate from our own. They looked so happy. I was almost certain they were off dancing in their own joyous world, free from all the sorrow and loneliness and pain of this one. Eventually, the speed at which they danced began to slow, as if they were resting their legs. I almost thought I could hear the sound of their feet with each step. Ah, they stopped. They can dance forever. They don't get tired. I see. I am amazed such an incredible device exists in this world. It makes me wish I had gone outside sooner. I'm sure someone from I can't speak today. Sorry. I'm sure someone from as distinguished a house as yours has seen plenty of amazing things with your family. Hardly. I rarely ever left the house. I'm ignorant about the ways of the world. She's like a grandma handling a smartphone. I mean, you're not entirely wrong. Oh my god. If you had not told me, I would have probably never known about moving pictures, the illusion of moving pictures. Do you like it? Yes, of course. More than the portrait you had painted? Yes. Yes, I do. The painting was wonderful too, but... You can't seem to make up your mind. Go on, tell me. Which do you like better, the portraits or this? I'd like this better. I see. He looks somewhat pleased. Though when it comes down to it, this is a simple trick only a child will fall for. Then, I suppose that makes me a child. If it means I get to watch something as splendid as two tiny people dancing, I'll happily fall for the trick. Quit describing it as two tiny people dancing. You're going to lose your head that far up in the clouds. Oh, I'm sorry. I do not know how else to describe it though. It's a toy called a phenakistoscope. Phenakistope? Phenakistoscope. Wheel. Close enough. It was invented around 30 years ago. I had a shopkeep make one model after the original design. So the shop owner drew this? He did. A lot better than you expect, isn't he? Yes, indeed. I'm surprised he could draw something so cute. Say that to his face and he'll go red as a beet. What I'd give to get a load of that. You should tell him the next time you see him. He's a sweet man. Despite how he looks, you mean? It's not right to judge people based on their appearance. Ha! I'm just kidding. Don't take it too seriously. The shopkeep here loves new technology. That phenakistoscope is one such invention that caught his eye. You can trick the eye into thinking drawings are moving. Using a sequence of photos, you can perhaps make it seem as though real people are moving too. And if it becomes possible to show those images to many people at once, these developments could broaden the options artists have to express themselves. Not drawings, but photographs. Yes, photos. By taking hundreds or maybe thousands of photographs, it would be possible to reproduce the world as we see it, this room, people walking down the streets. There's no point in recording boring everyday life though. If you're gonna leave a record of anything behind, it should be the projects and enterprises that moves nations. Say, for example, a moving record of the opening ceremony of the railroad. That would be something worth watching. And then, in time, it would expand beyond mere record-keeping technology and find its way into the hands of artists. Is such a thing possible? You must remain still for a long time just to take a single photograph. Right now it isn't, but eventually it will be. And I'm not simply fantasizing here. Is that so? It sounds so very futuristic. Do you... What? Do you want to support people who work on that sort of thing? Is that why you are friends with the owner? It has nothing to do with my wants. I merely think there's money in it. The rich starve for entertainment, and artists create that entertainment. I have no interest in their pretentious self-expression. I just want their money. What? What's so funny? You look like you're enjoying yourself. Honestly, it's just about the money. As you say. Alright, let's get moving. Next is dinner. What? We're leaving already? Does that displease you? No, not at all. To tell you the truth, I wanted to spend a little more time playing with the Phenakis wheel, but I could not bring myself to say as much. Reluctantly, I approached the owner to return the wheel. Don't bother. Bring it with you. What? But... If you don't want it, that's fine too. Just make your decision quickly. You're making the driver wait. Having said that, Jacobo exited the shop. I alternated between looking at his back and the Phenakis wheel, debating what I wanted to do. And then, with a smile, the owner whispered to me, "You're allowed to keep it, really. Your husband out there had it made as a gift for you." For me? A little while back, he came to my shop asking if I could make a phenakistoscope. Now that about knocked me out of my chair. He's a man who almost never asks for favors. He's pretty damn brusque, and he's got a tongue sharp enough to cut steel, but he's not wicked to his core, I swear it. So please, ma'am, be a pillar of support for him. In that moment, the Phenakis wheel became a precious treasure to me. We had only just married days earlier, and yet he had commissioned it for me without even knowing what I looked like. I was filled with a warm, pleasant elation. I agree with the owner. Jacopo was not a bad man. He merely had difficulty expressing himself. Hurrying back to the carriage, I gave him my deepest thanks. He glanced over at me for a moment, then turned back toward the window and muttered, "Yeah." From there, we went to a restaurant for dinner. "You call this a pizza? The crust is an atrocity. It's like I'm chewing on rubber. How can you wave my country's flag and not serve spaghetti? Do you have any shame at all? This wine is pitifully unbalanced, far too high levels of acidity. Listen to me carefully. The house wine is the face of a restaurant." He complained about every little thing. It was a complete disaster. But curiously enough, I was not at all put off by his behavior. When the sun set, the carriage made its way to a nearby hill. The cool nighttime breeze felt wonderful on my skin. Flush from the alcohol and the light from the gas lamps had a comforting warmth to it. Though Jacob had complained about the quality of the wine, once he had intoxicated himself, his mood improved visibly. It made him unexpectedly talkative. Look out the city. A gloomy town that shuts down at night isn't suited to expansion or growth, but this city isn't like that. You can see people walking beneath the lamps, and you can hear the bustle of them talking. This is a city that still has plenty of room to grow. As they ride the rising wave of the economy, many more people will gather here. More people means more money in circulation. More money in circulation means the city grows, companies are founded, and more goods are bought and sold. Will it really change so drastically? It can be difficult to see what's happening from the inside. The majority of people just go about their daily lives, and the next thing they know, things are different. No. I'd wager most don't notice these changes at all. Only those with eyes sharp enough to realize what's happening can see success. I cannot afford to overlook even the most minute change. Do you have a dream of some kind? A dream? I'm not sure if it's easy enough to attain to call a dream. Others might call it greed, or perhaps ambition. Don't laugh now. My intention is to make the world mine. The world? Yes, the world. And to do that, you need neither physical strength nor kindness, but money and influence. People have no choice but to kneel before those forces. Why are you so intent on obtaining power? Because I want to change my country, I imagine. Your country? You are aware that I, like you, am an immigrant, right? I emigrated from an island in the Mediterranean, though not the same island as you. My country is a peculiar place, where candor and violence go hand in hand. As a whole, the country is on the poor side, and if nobody does anything about that... I am one of but a few of my fellow countrymen who has set his sight on the new world. They are falling far behind other nations. If I find success here, perhaps that will catch their attention. But if it doesn't, then my country is doomed to collapse. You have much love for your homeland. My feelings are a little more complicated than mere love. But that's nothing you need to concern yourself with. Well, I'll have to remember not to get myself drunk around a woman again. Forget everything I just said. It's about time I head back to the house. All right, but, what is it? Is it all right if I provide you encouragement as you try to attain your dream? I know my presence is more likely to be a hindrance, but I would like to be there to watch as you trek forward. I suppose. Do as you wish. Thank you. You have my support then. Darling? Sent a shiver down my spine. Though not an unpleasant one. I'm glad to have you as my partner. I was, without a doubt, happy then. His smile, the things he said, the Finakis will he gave me, they were all undeniably real. And those memories give me the will to wait. For the day things go back to the way they were, they allow me to believe. Alright guys, I think that's a perfect time to end for today. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I am very happy to be in door 3 again. We got to see a little bit of Jacopo's complexity. Like, he wasn't always terrible. I mean, he wasn't nice to her back then either, but nice is not really his thing. But he tried, and he's not just power hungry, he wants to change things for the better. So yeah, I am really much looking forward to seeing the rest of the story next time and see just how much of a complex character Jacopo really is. Yeah. So on Thursday I will be playing Bloodborne, 15:15 GMT, and the next The House in Fata Morgana stream will be next week on Monday, 15:15 GMT. And if you want to see my schedule, you can either find it on my Instagram or on the community tab here on YouTube. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please consider to like, comment and subscribe. It really does help me to keep doing this. Yeah, that's all for now. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!